Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this live broadcast. Something that I want to just share with you, and if you have ears to hear it, it will help you. Any video I make, it's kind of the case, is my goal is to help you if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, if you're a mentor, to get unstuck. And one of the biggest little sneaky things that I see people do that stops them from succeeding is they have a belief that people like me, quote unquote, can't succeed. Let me explain that. You may have a belief watching me. You say, "Well, Jeremiah, I can't put on a baseball cap and be in a studio like this and just talk to people. I'm little old me over here." And this belief comes from comparing yourself, or maybe you're like, you look at my mom and say, "I don't have the charisma of Sandy Krakowski. I'm just not that." I'm just telling you this straight up. You don't need to be like another person or somebody else that you're not, or somebody else that you even look up to in order to succeed. This is one of the biggest lies that stops people is they hold on to, if only I was like them, then I could succeed. And because I'm not, I can't do the things that I need to succeed. And it's a belief that shuts us down because of the comparison that we have towards other people and the belief that that's the only way to be successful. First off, I'll tell you this. If you're trying to be like somebody else, you won't be successful even if you were exactly like them. You wouldn't, because it would be inauthentic for you. What is success attracting into your life, if you're a coach, if you're a mentor, if you're a trainer, if you're a speaker, is being your authentic self. Being what feels real and authentic to you, not trying to be a certain way to make people like you, to make people listen to you, to make people want to engage with you more. This belief that I have to be different than I naturally am in order to succeed is just false. Okay, so I just want to address that right there, right out the gate. What you want to do is you want to find what is your internal superpower that makes you unique. And if you don't like yourself, that's a root of where to start. A lot of people don't like themselves. They wish they were somebody else. And because of that, they project energy that tells everybody else in the world around them to not like them, to judge them, and to stay away because of the insecurity that's going on inside. Okay? And they believe that if only I just projected an image that was good enough that people would like, then I could be successful. And this loop becomes a never-ending hamster wheel in their life. And I've seen people on this hamster wheel for 10, 15, 20 years. And it makes me sad because I know that you can make 6 and 7 figures in a business in less than 6 months. And yet this belief that people have, well, once I have what I want, or I'll never be this way. It's one of the two. Is once I either am that different way, or I will never be that way, so success will always escape me. These beliefs are almost the same as each other, but they're the kind of like the yin and yang, complete opposite. It will stop you from being successful because you'll be living in a state of constant disappointment at yourself, judgment at yourself, and you'll be repelling all of the good that's in your life. It's a direct block that you place in front of you actually reaching and experiencing all the blessings that are available for you. And so, but I meet so many people, they got great ideas. But they're like, but if only I was just this way like somebody else. Or I could never be that way because of this. And those are decisions that they've made, that they have to be that way. When in fact, the truth is, just be you how you are. And learn to like you how you are. Learn to accept you how you are. At some point in your life, you were lied to and told that how you are isn't good enough, that you got to be somebody else. And so that perpetuates this story to where we don't like ourselves, and then we struggle to actually reach our goals in life. And so it actually just takes a choice to say, you know what? I'm not going to listen to what everybody else around me in my life has told me all up to this moment in time. And I'm going to like me, and I'm going to do me, and I'm going to focus on what I want to do. And I'm going to get a little bit selfish, and I'm going to be okay with that. And I'm not going to be afraid of doing what I want and going after what I want and going after what I desire and loving myself enough to say that other people's opinions just simply don't matter to me anymore. That I'm not going to be molded by what people say about me, what people think, or my fear of what they might think. That's a big one. A lot of times I see people avoiding doing the very thing that's going to make them successful because of the potential of people thinking something negative about them. Didn't even happen, but maybe it happened 10, 20 years ago, and so they don't ever want to experience that pain again. And we get into these loops, we get into these cycles, and these cycles will literally run and control our life until we make the intentional decision to say no more. No more, not today, not any longer. And then we start to create the life that we want. But most people will never get to that point. They will get very close to it. This is the habit for me working with hundreds of coaches. This is what most coaches, mentors, people that have a desire to build a business do. They get close to it, and then they go back into their cycle, and it's a repeated pattern. And what ends up happening is it actually gets harder the next time. It gets harder the next time to break out of the cycle. The more times you go through the same cycle, the next time it will be harder. I see a lot of people, they get all excited about building a business, and then they have a cycle of losing that momentum. And every year or so, they come back around with the excitement to build a business, and that is literally their cycle. It's a mental loop that they go in. It's a mental habit of excitement and then disappointment, excitement, disappointment, and they can't seem to break the loop. And the way to break the loop is to actually do the thing that terrifies you the most when you don't feel like it, and learn to cultivate in yourself to do what you want and to get more selfish in your life. That's what it is. The reason why we go in these loops is because we go back into, well, now I got to do what everybody else wants me to do in my life. I have to go back into what everybody else is demanding of me. And that creates the loop. And then one day you have inspiration and you start to get just a little bit selfish. And you start to say, okay, well, what do I want? And then you start to go after it. And so it makes a decision to press through that, even in the face of adversity, even in the face of judgment from people, even in the face of people telling you that you need to stop and quit, and that you're not good enough, and that you're not qualified enough, and to keep moving forward instead of going back into your cycle. And so listen, if just one person today understands this, I've seen this cycle happen with hundreds of people. It would be a harsh, unfair judgment if I hadn't seen this in people, but I've seen it in hundreds, thousands of people, this exact cycle. And what breaks it is I also have seen some of those people that have been in the cycle break out of it. And it's because they finally made the decision that they're not going to let their outside circumstance control them, and that they're going to finally go after what they want, even if everything in their environment is telling them to stop. Even if everything inside of them is telling them that it's too scary, too hard, must be avoided, or that they're not even good enough to do it. And they start to rewire their brain. They start to rewire their brain to have that self-belief and that self-love, and to say, what do I actually want? And they start to answer that question, what am I trying to avoid? And they stop trying to avoid the pain. They stop trying to avoid the painful experience. And they can step into the destiny that's waiting for them. And that breaks the loop. And so I know that if you take what I just shared today, it can radically change your life. As it has in my life, as it has in my mom's life, as it has in many of the successful multi-millionaire entrepreneurs that I know. This is what breaks you into that next level. But most people, they stop just right before. and then they go back into their cycle. And they're unconscious about it. They don't even know it's happening. And that's what's so frustrating is the unconsciousness makes them say, oh, nothing ever seems to work out for me. When there's actually a pattern that's going on. When there's actually a pattern of behavior. When there's actually a pattern of thoughts and feelings and it's repetitive. And so when you can become self-aware of that repetitive nature, and as well, you might need to work with a professional, a therapist, somebody to help you identify your blocks and your blind spots, you'll be able to move that needle forward for you to start to see those results in your life. So I want to see you succeed. You don't have to be a victim to your circumstance, your life, your experience, or anything else that's been stopping you and holding you back.